The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I have a good friend of mine growing up in Los Angeles. We grew up together. A good friend of mine. And his family was immigrants from Iran. They didn't have any money. They lived, there were 7 of them in the family. They had a 2-bedroom apartment. And the family coming in from Iran, they didn't have a lot of Yiddishkeit either. Putting food on the table wasn't pashut. Making Yom Tov, Shabbos, these things it was not pashut. And one of the things that, it was traumatic for him. One of the things that when he grew up is he said that he doesn't want to put his kids through what he went through, the poverty that he had. And he vowed to himself, he made a commitment to himself that he was going to really try to be successful. And he wants to make a lot of money so that his kids won't go through what he went through. I'm not commenting personally, telling you his story. So Baruch Hashem, he makes it through high school without, not without his challenges. Eventually gets to college. He wants to go to college. I don't think his parents ever went to college. He wanted to go to college, get a degree. He's going to make a parnassa. Goes to college and he takes out loans, a lot of loans, because he didn't have a penny. And he's borrowing. Finally, after a couple of years, he graduates business and business degree. And he's got a lot of loans to pay back. But he finally has his degree. So he calls up, he applies for a job in Manhattan. And they call him back after a little while. And he was so excited. And they said, I'm so sorry. We really enjoyed you and the interview was great and everything. And you're wonderful. We see you have a lot of potential. We don't feel you're the right candidate for the position. And he calls me up and he tells me this story. And he was pretty broken. So I said to him, what are you going to do? He says, I'm going to show up to work. I'm like, what? He says, I'm going to show up. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to show up? He goes, I'm going to the office tomorrow. True story. He shows up to the office. He walks right into the sales room, finds a cubicle, sits down, and starts making sales calls. Now, after a while, obviously, as people came into the office that morning, they saw him there and people were like, what's going on? Who's the new guy? And they, bring it to the attention of one of the senior managers. And he looked up to me and says, hi, can I help you? He says, yeah, I'm so-and-so. I had applied for a job here. And he goes, yeah, I'm so sorry. There must be some misunderstanding. Someone was supposed to call you to let you know. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. He goes, I know. They did call me. And they're like, right, but so why are you here? He's like, because I'm going to make sales calls and I'm going to be really successful. That's why. So if you'll excuse me. And he picks up the phone and he continues making calls. True story. Baruch Hashem, he turns out to be very, very successful in the position. He does great. He works his way up in the company. He eventually starts his own company. He sells the business. Today, Baruch Hashem, he has a business worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's doing very, very well for himself. A big Baal Tzedakah. His kids go to yeshiva. Unreal. But I look at this guy. I think about this story. He did not stop for a second and ask himself whether he's adequate, whether he has the ability. He made the decision, I'm doing it because it has to get done. It's not about whether I want it or not. It's a need. It needs to happen. I need to be matzliach because I need my kids to have this. It wasn't about whether he was able. And that's why he did it. We all have aspirations. Okay, every single one of us have things that we want so badly. Things that we want to achieve in our lives. Okay? We want to be, as I said, depending on the person, we want to be better husbands, we want to be better wives, we want to be better children, we want to be better parents. Everybody has something else. We want to be better yidden, we want to be better at chesed, we want to be better bali tefillah, we want to daven better, we want to be more successful in our work, we want to be healthy, we want to be happier, we want to be more in control of our anger, our patience, fill in the blank. But everybody has aspirations to be great in some area. but we're constantly doubting ourselves. And we're questioning ourselves again and again. I want it. I really do want it. But am I really smart enough to do it? Am I resourceful enough to make it happen? Am I worthy enough to be able to accomplish this? Do I have enough self-control to do this? Am I enough? And we don't feel like we're enough. And we question and question and question. And instead of achieving the greatness of what we want, instead we procrastinate because we're afraid. What if I fail? Or this needs to be perfect and I'm afraid it's not going to be perfect. Or we're guilty because we feel the sense of guilt because I'm not worthy of achieving that kind of greatness. But I think what the message of Shavuos teaches us is that we have to stop questioning our adequacy. Stop asking ourselves if we're capable. Stop taking our mental temperature again and again. Stop focusing on ourselves altogether. Take yourself out of the picture and just focus on what Hashem wants. Don't ask yourself, what can I do? Ask yourselves, what does Hashem want me to do?
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org